Hi, welcome to another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl and I'm in charge of the craft kits at the main library. And today's video is to accompany a kit that we'll be giving out starting March 15th, 2024. But if you don't live anywhere near the library, or if you're watching this later on our YouTube channel, don't worry, I'll tell you everything you need to purchase to make this craft. So what we're making today is we are making these cute little magnets. Now this is a magnet, it's got a magnet on the back, and they are pretty strong. You see they hold on really well. And these are made with the little flat back marbles that you can get from the floral department, usually of your craft store. So what you'll have in the kit, or what you'll need to purchase if you don't have the kit, is 2 of these flat back marbles. Now we are using the large size today. That is about 1.25 inches across. You can also do this project with the smaller ones that are about 3/4 of an inch. But I like the big ones because they make a bigger impact. You will get 2 magnets. Now these magnets are rare earth magnets, which means they are very strong. You need a strong magnet to be able to hold up the weight of these glass marbles. You will also get a little tube of E6000 glue. E6000 is a very strong glue. And then you will have, or you will need to get images to put on there. Now I have just printed out a bunch of different images. Now these happen to be licensed from Adobe Stock because my library has a licensing agreement with them. But you can find images on the internet. Just make sure you look for free ones that don't have any, say, licensing restrictions that you need to worry about. And I like to print these. These are printed on cardstock. Now I do recommend you printing them on cardstock, because if they're printed on regular paper, when you put the glue on there, the glue might soak up in the paper if it's too thin, and it gets it kind of a little transparent so you can see the magnet behind it, and that's not a good look. So I do recommend, if you're going to do this at home, that you print your items out on just a cardstock instead of regular paper. You will also need to provide a pair of scissors, obviously, to cut the images out, and a pencil to trace around the circle on your images. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to set this aside, and the first thing we're going to do is figure out what image we want to use. Now, you're going to be these images are going to be magnified a little bit. Once you put the marble on top of it, there's a little magnification effect, so you can see the difference there. You might also notice it gets a little bit fuzzier just because of the imperfections of the marble, or maybe the glue is a little bit interacting with the ink. So just be aware that things like that will happen. Also, the glue will make the image darken just slightly. You can see the difference in the white paper tones here. This is slightly darker. So if you're doing this yourself, I would not recommend very dark images. A lot of the detail will be lost. So I'm going to figure out what I want. I'm just going to put this side, and you may notice like a little imperfection in the marble. If there's a little imperfection, like a star where the glass was cut off the rod or whatever it is, those will be filled in with the glue, so you don't have to worry about those. I think, you know what, I think I want this one here. So I'm going to figure out where I want to position it. Okay, I'm going to hold it down, and I'm just going to trace around as close as I can get to the base. All right, then I'm going to cut this out, cutting just inside the line. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to use my glue. Now, when you do this E6000 glue, they will have a seal I don't know if you can see that or not, but there is a metal seal because this glue dries out very quickly. There is, if you turn the lid around, there is inside the lid, back of the lid, there's a pointy thing where you can put that down and push to puncture the seal and open it. I actually already have one that's open over here, so I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to put just a thin layer. You don't want to get it too thin, but don't have any glops. Anything that's too gloppy and thick will squeeze out the sides and it will make a mess. But you want a good, nice, even, thin layer. And when you use the C6000 glue, always put the lid back on because this stuff dries out pretty darn quickly. In the tube, it will set up and you will not be able to use it. So always put the lid back on. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this over and place that right in the center, and I'm going to put my finger in the center, and I'm going to just gently kind of run it from the center outward just to try and get out any air bubbles. And I don't see any air bubbles, so I'm going to set this aside. I like to take another piece of paper, and I just like to set this aside to dry on another piece of paper. And you are going to let this dry completely for a few hours, right? At least an hour or two. You want that glue to be dry before you glue on the magnet, because when you glue on the magnet, if that glue holding your paper down is not dry, it may shift and then you may get bubbles underneath. So always be careful and let it dry first before you put on the magnet. And I have one here that I did a couple hours ago that I'm ready to put the magnet on. So I'm going to just flip this over, and now I'm going to figure out which side of the magnet I want to glue. So I usually like to test it to see which side is stronger. That's pretty strong. And that's not as strong. I think I want this side with the little hole. I think I want that toward the metal, which means I'm going to put the glue on the other side. So I'm going to add, again, I'm just going to add a nice thin layer on there. And I'm going to put that down right in the center. And now I'm going to set that aside and let it dry on a piece of paper. I like to flip this over and just put it there for another few hours before I use it. You want that glue to be completely dry before you want to put it up on something and subject the glue to the weight of the magnet and everything pulling it down. If the glue's not completely set, you might find it coming apart. You can even let this sit overnight to be extra sure. Now, one thing I do want to tell you about this E6000 glue is it does have some fumes. So if you are sensitive to smells, please use this in an open or well-ventilated environment if possible. Okay. All right, and there you'll have your magnets. Simple, easy, not so quick. It's quick to do, but it's, you have to let it dry in between, so you've got a little bit of time, but you can do it in stages. And these make great little gifts that you can give out for holidays. You can rotate out through holidays because the prices of these things are fairly inexpensive, that you can buy a bag full of the marbles and a whole package of the magnets for a very reasonable prices. So you can feel free to indulge yourself and make a ton of these things. Well, thank you for watching another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'll see you next time. Bye.